My big issue is I need to have these visual reminders to do these things, even taking time for myself. And so I'll even have on my personal calendar a little reminder 5 days a week that says, play a little bass, it's a treat. But I work through it every time. It's like, oh, I haven't got enough work done. And so it's coming up with ways to be more attentive in my own personal life.
Welcome, everyone. We are here in Tabernash, Colorado, up in the Rocky Mountains. This is the ADHD Adulting Fireside Chat, which is a unique opportunity for everyday ADHD adults to connect, share advice, and learn from one another how to thrive with this condition. Tonight's topic, New Year, New You, resolutions, routines, and relapse.
My name is Devin, and I have ADHD. I was diagnosed relatively recently as an adult. I'm in the consulting space, but really I enjoy fitness and music and a few other items outside of that. I was diagnosed at the age of 32, and I'm currently 35. I'll be 36 later this year.
What led up to that diagnosis or seeking that diagnosis?
There's a few things, but the big thing was realizing that my old coping mechanisms were no longer working for me when I pivoted into consulting. And I needed to really expand that toolkit and learn more about how my brain works to not only thrive in my career, but also really to be able to better understand and support myself and understand all of that in the context of other people too.
What is a goal that you have for yourself this year? And I want you guys to be specific here about a process, not an outcome goal, okay? So the difference is a lot of times people set outcome goals. I want to lose 50 pounds. I want to make X amount of money or have this promotion, or I want to, whatever it is. But it's the process goal is like, I want to go to the gym 3 times a week. I want to have a routine or a process that's going to get me to this goal, not the end.
I have resonated with something that each and every one of you have said. And I think originally, if I had to go first, I was just gonna say like I might fuck around and dabble in some self-care, but a lot of it is also needing to recharge because I have been burned out for like 2 years straight, and it's a lot harder to do anything besides go to work and have the energy to wish that you could do something besides go to work.
So heartbreaking too.
It is very disappointing because you want to do these things that make life feel whole, and you just don't have it. You kind of sit on the couch and you kind of resign yourself to like, well, maybe next week, if not tomorrow. And it just becomes this regular habit. And like, I'm a big fan of fitness, obviously. I brought my bass with me. Hopefully we don't actually have to do like a band thing later.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hopefully not. That would be so awful. I would hate that. Go on. The guitar is upstairs. The mouth harps are 15 minutes from here. Okay.
All right, it's gonna just be one big ADHD super band. I love that.
Also, I like how you said I work out, obviously.
Well, like I like exercise.
Yeah,
and also,
I like exercise, obviously.
If I say that normally, well, like, oh, I go to the gym. No shit. Like, I'm trying to take the wind out of other people's sails right
Totally, I feel it.
Exercise has been the one that I started doing probably within the first year after I graduated undergrad. It became a way to free up my evenings, because that tends to happen when you're a young adult and you have a lot of people in your life that want to be able to spend time with you. But in addition to that, I found that it helped me get a lot of excess energy out before my workday. So I'd start running or lifting, and I just felt better prepared for whatever came down the pipeline at work. And I didn't make that connection for a while, in the same way that it took me a long time to realize that drinking 4 cups of coffee over the course of the day was a self-medication. I just figured, well, these things help my brain stay focused, so I'll just keep doing them. And that was kind of a weird reckoning in the last few years to realize how much of that was also reinforcing basically just managing my ADHD. Caffeine was a problem. I now am well-versed in what withdrawals feel like for me. And it would get to the point where even in college, because you don't have those accommodations, because no one knows you have ADHD, it would be drinking enough caffeine to the point where it'd have the adverse effect. You get a stomach ache, and now you have to go lay down instead of taking notes in class. The process is trying to remind myself that I can actually make time for the things that make life worthwhile without it necessarily having to coincide with someone else's schedule. So like, for example, this, I wouldn't have done something like this if it was all like a self-launched initiative. If this was something where I had to take point and run, I would just keep putting it off because, well, I don't have the energy yet. I'm a little tired. Maybe there's still a little bit of that fear of failure. But when other people say, hey, we're doing this, then I'm in. And especially with burnout, there's also this weird sentiment of, oh, but I need to take time to recharge, but I also feel like I'm doing things at work slower because I'm burned out, so I have less time to recharge because I'm already so tired. And it just becomes this weird Ouroboros where you're just consistently tired and not making time to be less tired, which is a weird thing to say out loud.
It is, but I know what you mean.
Is anyone else here experiencing burnout or stages of burnout in their lives?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
I'm in the keep myself afloat version right now, you know?
Yeah.
Which is why I want to do more things. That's
And-
my way of retiring.
It's exactly that. Like, one of the things that I remember was that when I graduated from undergrad, I decided like, oh, I'm gonna take bass lessons. And in my first class, all my other classmates were people who retired. Like, they hadn't made time to do that in their careers, and they had just decided to come back to it. And that was something that I decided I never wanted to be, just because it just feels stressful or hollow to imagine that your life is basically just the work that you contribute for your employer. There's things that derive meaning that are not connected to that, and I want to be able to make sure I'm not losing sight of those things, because time keeps accelerating, and next thing you know, like, you haven't touched your bass in like 2 months.
So what's a first step on the process to touching the bass much more frequently than 2 months?
Well, so I tried that with the last 2 weeks. I actually took PTO, so this is the tail end of the second week. And so I've been taking more time for that. I actually met up with my bass teacher from over 10 years ago and actually had my first lesson in like 12, 13, 14 years.
In 12 or 13 or 14 years?
Yeah, because the last lesson I took would have been like 2012.
Okay, so similarly to your partner, you did it. You're in it. Okay, so you started by more PTO and you reconnected.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly, because for me it's like, all right, well, I know that there's stuff that I want to do creatively with music, even if it's just learning to do a competent cover, but there's some technique areas where I could use some clarifications, and I'm really trying to be cognizant of not putting these things on the back burner again at the beginning of 2025.
Another tip for our audience out here is if you can focus on something specific, like a skill that you want to build. So like, let's say bass, right? If it's like, the more specific you can get like hyper specific, right? And focus in on like, hey, I want to learn how to do this type of, chord progression, or this type of song, or this genre of music, or whatever. Like, hone in on that, you'll be more successful. What are 3 of your ADHD strengths?
That's a good question. I think the first one would probably be hyperfixation. Obviously, that's what a lot of us do, but I've been very fortunate in that there's a lot of things that I'm curious and interested about. For me, it comes down to whether or not I have the tools at my disposal to learn a lot more about it. Some other strengths is, it's kind of weird, but I would say maybe even a little bit of empathy. Because you have that hyperfixation, and if you're introspective enough, you want to understand more about yourself. And if I am dealing with something like rejection sensitivity, it means that I want to understand more about how I interpret, certain things that people might say or do, but it means I'm also trying to give a lot more consideration to how the things that I might say or do kind of come off to other people. So it does kind of empower me to really want to check in with folks and make sure that, both of our needs are being met as a part of a friendship or an interpersonal relationship of really any kind. I know my third strength is probably just wanting to be able to talk to more people about this. There's just this huge lack of information in terms of how you navigate all of this as an adult. There's all these ways that children have more materials, whether it's resources, maybe it's longer test times. There's a lot more of that, but when you need to understand, okay, so how do I make my life partner less frustrated because I leave something out and they're not sure if I'm done with it, or I walked away from it and got distracted for 2 hours. And I think it's kind of important to be able to compare notes and figure out what's working for people versus what isn't. And if we're being honest and noting that this might work for some people, but not some, or not others, then it's worth sharing.
What is a habit or behavior that we need to add or let go of, and how will that inform our relationship to ourselves and others, is the whole thought.
I'd like to get back on the mindfulness train. That seemed to really be working out for a little bit. My big issue is I need to have these visual reminders to do these things, even taking time for myself. And so I'll even have on my personal calendar a little reminder 5 days a week that says, play a little bass, it's a treat. But I work through it every time. It's like, oh, I haven't got enough work done. And so it's coming up with ways to be more attentive in my own personal life. Adulting with ADHD is, well, it's a few things, but the big thing for me is coming up with tools to help you better navigate your day. For me, it's having those visual aids. So it might be having a clear water bottle with different hours of the day written on the side to help me assess whether or not I've had enough water that day. It can be leaving things by the door to the garage so I don't forget them on the way out. It's just making sure that I have something that keeps that task, that responsibility front and center in my memory. Maybe even getting back into FocusMates where I have a routinely scheduled session with someone and they're like, I'm cleaning out my office or whatever thing they're doing and I'm cool, I'm playing the bass. And just figuring out ways to keep myself more accountable with the things that I say I should be doing to take better care of myself so that I'm not just the mental brain equivalent of a Pinto that's on fire with no extinguisher.
Tell us real quick what FocusMate is.
Yeah.
How it's helped you. Yeah. What is it?
So for the uninitiated, FocusMates is this really cool website where you can either just ad hoc jump into a session or schedule something in advance where you are matched with someone else who also has a similar, just some sort of goal where they need accountability. It's basically parallel play. And the goal there is that
Co-working.
Yeah. It's like
Body
maybe
doubling.
could be studying for an exam. It could be someone just trying to be more proactive in their own creative endeavors. Things that are more work adjacent. It could be professional, it could be creative, it could be things that you're doing in your free time. But the goal there is that you have the accountability. So you'll typically go into your session, both of you will explain what you're doing, and then usually what happens is you keep your camera on and then you just hit mute. And then for whatever designated time you have, when that expires, you have this sort of like mini blaring alarm and you unmute and everyone has updates as to whether or not they made progress on that thing, and then you just wish them the best of luck.
And it works so well. I've tried it twice myself when we were exploring different ADHD adult tools, and I mean it's just so dumb obvious. It works so well, and there are wonderful exchanges at the end. Yeah.
Like people are sincerely in each other's corner. Like I really hope that worked out for you.
Yeah. It is. Oh, it very much is. One of the people I was working with was getting towards their MD, like really close to residency and stuff like that. And I remember at the end,
I'm invested now.
I know. I was immediately like, "What? I was cleaning my office." You were studying for some shit.
You can meet awesome people from around the world, and the novelty factor of, well, who's it going to be? Who is this person? And they're needing you too, right? So ADHDers who we always are like, I want to help someone else. It's easier to help someone else. Like you could explain to a friend what your problem is, but helping yourself, you'd be like, I don't want to do that. Well, now it's like, I'm not only helping someone else too, but I'm helping myself at the same time.
And we're both making progress.
Yeah. But what does radically accepting ADHD mean to you or look like?
I think it's engaging with your ADHD in a way that feels intellectually honest, right? You have these spaces where maybe someone's neurodivergent and someone who's neurotypical refers to it as a superpower. And the problem that you have there is that a superpower ignores those unique challenges. And there are these areas that genuinely do feel like strengths. That said, sometimes I need a little bit more help. And I think radical self-acceptance is learning that all those things are parts of you and you can love them. You don't need to be maybe upset or hateful towards them. And it's learning to love yourself as the person you are and not being upset for the person you're not. And especially for folks who are diagnosed as adults, there's probably a lot more comparisons to folks who seem to have it figured out.